Good morning to everybody. I extend my hearty welcome to the eminent resource persons for this 7 days professional development and capacity building program for academicians and professionals scheduled from 1st August to 7th August 2020. Warm welcome to all the participants. I thank all the participants for their support for the program. This program is organized by the Center for Women Empowerment and Women's Studies of Manonmaniam Sundaranar University in collaboration with the Institute of Cost Accountants of India. This 7 days professional development and capacity building program is the outcome of the initiatives and tireless efforts of CMA Rakesh Shankar Ravi Shankar. I acknowledge his meticulous efforts to materialize this program. Thank you, sir, for all your kindness. About this program, internal auditing is an independent, objective assurance and consulting activity designed to add value and improve an organization's operations. The role of internal audit is to provide independent assurance that an organization's risk management, governance, and internal control processes are operating effectively and efficiently. Contradictorily, external audits mainly concentrate on financial reports and financial reporting risks. But internal audit, however, cover all categories of risk, their management, including reporting on them. External audits have no responsibility for improvement, but improvement is a fundamental purpose and primary responsibility of internal auditing. We have with us eminent resource persons to enrich our knowledge of our career prospects in it. Let us start our program with the inaugural address of our Honorable Vice Chancellor. Our Vice Chancellor is the source of inspiration for us. All our endeavors is the result of his motivation and encouragement. Now it is time for us for the inaugural address of our Honorable Vice Chancellor. Thank you, sir, for your inaugural address. I kindly request CMA Raju Iyer, CCM, Chairman of International Auditing and Assurance Standard Board, to give an outline of this 7 days program. May I call upon CMA Raju Iyer, Chairman of International Auditing and Assurance Standard Board? Please give an outline of this 7 days program.
Manonmaniam Sundaranar University, Dr. S. Santosh Babu, Registrar, CMA Banvidar Singh Ji, our Honorable President of Institute of Cost Accountants of India, Dr. B. Revati, Professor of Commerce, Director, Center for Women Empowerment and Women Studies, and Organizing Secretary, together with the CMA Rakesh Sankar Ji, who are coordinating this event. Respected faculties and academicians who are shaping the future of our youth and the dynamic youth so that they'll be able to take up the challenges and develop our great nation to face 5 billion economy. And students and members, and my gratitude to our President CMA Balwinder Singh Ji for readily accepting for the program and participating. I am very happy to be with you on this historical event of joint program for a week on internal auditing and assurance services, striving towards sustainable, scalable, and integrated reporting by our institute and the prestigious Manonmaniam Sundaranar University. It gives me immense pleasure and satisfaction to be part of this professional development and capacity building program, as I am from Jangotai, Tirunelveli district before, and my wife is also from Tirunelveli town. It gives me immense pleasure and satisfaction. The university is motto is to reach the unreached. As well as our institute is following the same motto, and our president will highlight what all actions we have taken to reach the unreached and underprivileged students. And we are reaching to various youth on this account so that they will be able to mold the youth to face to the economy and becoming a professional, quality professionals. On the program, to have effective internal auditing services, independence and objectivity of all auditing services to be maintained by the corporates and by the professionals. Independence is established by the organizations and a reporting structure. Objectivity is achieved by an appropriate mindset. The internal audit actively evaluates the risk exposure of relating to the organization's governance, operations, and information system. For example, the present COVID-19 situation, how the corporates, how our systems have been affected, how the economy is affected, how we will be able to take this to opportunity. Yes, in every threat there is opportunity. This we will be able to convert into opportunity, and we will be able to have a double force and make our economy and members and the population a stronger one. The main goal of internal auditing development in an organization is to gather information that can be analyzed and converted into valuable insights into how the company can be use it more effectively. In the course of the bridging the gap between the board of directors and the corporate management team, internal auditors can be called upon to use their professional judgment and determine the standards by which business activities are measured. Today, the internal auditors are not auditing. Previously, we have seen that auditors means the watchdog and not a blood donor, all those type of things. Today, it is changed from assurance to re-energize assurance. That is a function of internal auditing. We will be over this week. We will be able to get all the insights by the eminent faculties. The 7-day program is designed to cover intricacies of all these aspects and add value to the participants. Today, on the first day, on Saturday, they are the internal audit of global perspectives by our president, CMA Balwinder Singh Ji, who is having more than 3 decades of experience, very wide experience in auditing, and he is also a chartered accountant. He has traveled length and breadth of the world, and he has visited a lot of countries. Always he is updating knowledge, and he is technology savvy. And he uses artificial intelligence, all those type of things very effectively in our institute also. And on the second day, tomorrow, Sunday, internal audit, changing dimensions and domain of eminence and excellence will be covered by me. I will detail how the internal audit and all those type of things tomorrow. On the third day, on 3rd August, on Monday, internal audit for educational institutions, integration of NAC, AITC and UGC norms by CMA Rakesh Sankar, who is coordinating this program, who is well-known faculty from Dwaragadas Govardhanas Vaishnava College, known as DG Vaishnava College, and having all the three professional qualifications: chartered accountancy, cost accountancy, and company secretary. He is one of the coordinator of the program, and we have designed this program in such a way that where we will be able to add real value to the participants. On the fourth day, on Tuesday, internal audit, integrated and sustainability reporting by CMA Murthy, who is having the wide experience in various industries as a practicing chartered accountant and was chairman of our Institute Southern India Regional Council during early 2000s. And he is very apt to professional to address on this topic as he has exposure to various industries, including educational institutions, as a director and as a board member and as an auditor. On 5th August, Wednesday, internal audit, risk management and control by CMA Dr. A.S. Durga Prasad, who was our president during 2014-15. He has introduced online classes way back in the year from 2005 in our institute to facilitate students from rural areas and international students. He is a board of director in various companies and he is having business connection with US and other countries. His address will be very much valuable to us, definitely adding value, and we can have more interaction with him on 5th August. On 6th August, Thursday, risk-based internal audit in banks by CMA Statutory Body, who has retired from the bank after serving for 3 decades at various capacities. And he is a very challenging personnel who is having a lot of connectivity with the high-level officers in banking and insurance industry. He is presently the chairman for banking and insurance committee of our institute. He has very wide contact and he has moved to various nearby countries also, so that his knowledge will be very high and how the banks can perform, how the bank can add value to MSMEs in the present situation, how the bank managers and other officers to coordinate in the present situation to understand the issues of especially the MSMEs and various small business people. For the large business people, they have the technical knowledge, technical skill, and officers are there. For the small business, how to reach, and he has conducted various programs on MSMEs also. On 7th August, on the concluding day, on internal audit, way forward for professionals and the students by CMA KVN Lavanya, who is a chairperson, was chairman of our Hyderabad chapter, and who is a practicing cost accountant. So he is an engineering qualified, he is a qualified engineer also, and she has done a lot of career counseling and always moving with the students and involved in coaching of the students. And she has more than 15 years of experience in the industry and coaching and administration of our chapter. And on concluding that, the valedictory address will be done by our Vice President CMA Balwinder Singh ji, who has retired from the public sector. He will be adding value in his address by what all the things has to be done by the public sector unit. Definitely, this program will be adding value, and we will be circulating all the technical papers and technical material also to you in due course. Thank you very much. Wish you all the best for a happy, health, prosperity, and a peaceful days to come. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. I thank the Manonmaniam Sundaranar University and our president for giving me the opportunity to be amongst you and to address all of you. Thank you very much. Wish you all the best. Good day. Over to the organizers.
Thank you, sir. You have given a nice brief of our 7 days program. I kindly request CMA Rakesh Shankar Ravi Shankar to kindly introduce the keynote speaker of today.
Voice is not clear.
Just a versatile personality, CMA Balwinder Singh, who is the president of the Institute of Cost Accountants of India for the year 2019-20. He follows the principles of pro bono publico, serving to all. He has served the students community, the professional community, and also at an international level, he has been networking with all the professionals to have a successful professional development for the Indian professional community. CMA Balwinder Singh is a fellow member of the Institute of Cost Accountants of India. He is also the fellow member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India and also a fellow member of the Institute of Valuers, licentiate of the Insurance Institute of India, and a certified information systems auditor and a certified arbitrator. He qualified in the year 1996 and is a leading practicing cost accountant. He has held several positions in the Institute of Cost Accountants of India and he has been in the board for the second term. He has represented the Government Accounting Standards Advisory Board, the Ministry of Corporate Affairs various committees, Insolvency Law Committee, and he is also a board member of the SAFA, South Asian Federation of the Accountants, which is the apex body for the SAARC countries. He is a member of the Accounting and Finance Services Sectional Committee of the Bureau of Indian Standards, Government of India. He represents the task force for monitoring the accounting and statutory compliances of Assam Public Sector Enterprises. He has served as a chairman, Cost Accounting Standards Board of the Institute in the year 2015-16, 16-17, and 18-19. He has been the member, Government of India, Ministry of Corporate Affairs on revision of depreciation rates under the Companies Act. He has represented the Indian Railways Committee for PSUs. He has represented in the IFAC, International Federation of Accountants, meeting held in Canada in 2019. He has also represented the various initiatives of the Cost and Management Accountants of Sri Lanka in setting up the Cost and Management Accounting Standards Board in 2019. He has helped or he has helped so many students to upcome to the level of the CMA finalist. He is an expert speaker on accounting standards for the last 21 years, and he has addressed large number of sessions on accounting standards, cost accounting standards, and IFRS at various professional platforms and corporate houses. He is the author of publications on conceptual clarity on accounting standards and including the comparison with the IFRS. With warm welcome, sir, we welcome you to today's session. I think the participants will be much benefited from his global perspective of the internal auditing. To add a feather to the cap, he was instrumental in bringing the internal auditing and assurance standards board for the first time in the institute. We welcome you, sir. Over to CMA Balvinder Singh.
A very good morning to all of you. Distinguished Vice Chancellor Dr. K. Pichuvani, Chairman Internal Auditing and Assurance Standards Board, my colleague CMA P. Raju yourself, Registrar of the University Dr. S. Santosh Babuji, Dr. B. Revati Ma'am, Professor of Commerce and Director Center for Human Empowerment and Women Studies, CMA Ravi Shankar, and dear student friends. I congratulate the university and the Internal Audit and Assurance Standards Board of the Institute for taking this initiative for organizing this professional development and capacity building program. And it's a privilege to deliver a keynote address here on internal audit and global perspective. Collaborative Institute is this initiative is a joint initiative of the university and my institute, the Institute of Cost Accountants of India, which was set up 76 years back, and it is in the administrative control of the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. It is the second largest cost and management accounting body in the world, and largest in the Asia. Institute is member of all international level accounting bodies, maybe the regional level, international level, SAARC level, all. And we are presently serving the society, having our offices in 4 regional centers, 100 chapters across India, more than 400 CMS support centers, and even 10 overseas centers we also have. They're supporting the government and the student fraternity by our CSR initiatives also, like in case of our students from Northeast, which comprises the 8 states of Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, Manipur, Meghalaya, and other 4, that Tripura, Sikkim, Nagaland, and Mizoram. We have a special scheme which was announced in the last of 2nd October of Mahatma Gandhi Jayanti, at wherein we have gone for the 75% of student fee waiver under a CSR initiative for the students of these states. Similarly, I'm happy to inform that to see that the Jammu and Kashmir students are come to the mainstream, and we initially announced the 100% student waiver scheme through a scholarship model. And for those who are not falling under the scholarship, not qualifying on the top few hundred ranks, are being enrolled at the 50% fee waiver scheme. Similarly, we are also supporting the kith and kin of defense forces, army, navy, and air force, where we give a 50% student fee. We also supported various skill development programs of the uh, governments, various state governments. And presently, we are across India working on the accounts assistant course, which are already in some of the states. And we are going to see that we reach the unreached, and accounts assistant course will create employment for a large number of students across India. With these initial remarks on this, I was going to congratulate the university, and I will now deliberate on the internal auditing. Internal auditing, what is the global perspective, what is the meaning of internal audit, and key ingredients therein. And therefore, we will move with the uh, the better is the PowerPoint presentation. If we move, it will be easy to understand for all of you. Internal audit, what is the concept here? See, first, before going to the world, uh, see, required. My internal audit is required. Yes, a spelling error. I could see that. They will need to do audit of ourselves audit also. I can see my audit only. Why internal audit is required? The queue is missing. That is the thing. Why we need internal audit? There has to be a second person to check the work of a first person. Right. Internal audit situation in India is it's mandatory for some entities, and second is the voluntary. Why voluntary? Then I'll elaborate. In case of mandatory, it is mandatory under the Companies Act. Section 138 says every listed company should go in for internal audit. If the company is not listed in any stock exchange, then the bigger company should go for the internal audit, and the list is given in the bigger by the government means that the bigger is where the share capital is above 50 crore. Similarly, high turnover 200 crore plus. Some high loans are there. With some parameters are there in case of unlisted public company that they need to go in for a mandatory internal audit. Similarly, for a private limited company also with a high sizes where turnover is 200 crore and the loans are beyond 100 crore, they want that the internal audit should be mandatory. It doesn't mean that wherever the audit is voluntary, it's not required. Internal audit has large advantages, and it's focused with a number of objectives. In case of bigger, it is made mandatory so that in case some entity is missing, they should not miss under the mandate. They should ensure that it is being conducted. The company should not feel that we are good, no need of checking. That should not happen. That's why in the bigger companies, it is mandatory. For others, voluntary, and definitely everybody is going to get advantage of the internal audit. Now, how the advantage is there, or what is the meaning of internal audit, the background, and then the global perspective on that. It is an independent activity, meaning thereby some work is done by a company. Uh, Somebody else is checking. An independent person is checking a work of other. It's the objective is the assurance. Assure that my activity is correct. Purpose is to add value in the work of an organization. We have heard of the audit. We normally call the statutory audit. Statutory audit is the audit by the statutory mandatory to see my balance sheet is good or PL is good. Here it is not that. I'm not going to see my balance sheet is good or PL is good. I'm to see that my office is working in a systematic manner. There is no HONA, and all systems controls are there. It is a voluntary system to see things are correct and things can be improved further. It's an independent activity, assurance activity. Purpose is to add value to organization to see that organization operations are improved. Purpose is very clear. It's not the government purpose to sign a balance sheet. It will help the organization accomplish its objectives by bringing this internal audit by systematic approach. It's a systematic approach, disciplined approach. Purpose again, also evaluate, improve the efficiency. Which efficiencies we are going to see, or how it's going to add value. The efficiencies we need to see the governance process. Governance is whether we are managing the company in an effective manner. We are governing properly. We are checking ourselves as a governance. That internal audit can check whether an improvement is required in the governance, systems, procedure, risk management. Every company is today exposed to various risks, starting from the operation to the investment to the finance and others. Whether our risk management, or maybe the fraud risk as to the fraud or misstatement or misrepresentation, all such things. Whether the appropriate risk management policies are there, or what improvement can be there. whether adequate controls are there to see that the fraudulent activity doesn't take place. It is checking the effectiveness of three things: governance process, risk management, and the control. It's necessary for all in any case. Every company has to see the systems. What kind of services are provided by the internal auditor? Two major things. One is a assurance service, assuring something, and the second will be advisory. Now, first coming back to the first, the assuring something. It assuring something involves that internal auditor need to assess, create evidence, obtain evidence to provide opinion on conclusion regarding entity, some opinion on the entity, conclusion on the entity, on operation of an entity, function of an entity, process of an entity, system, or some other subject matter. It means the company's owners or the management want to see to assure themselves that things are going properly. They want to assure some things, whether my functions are correct or operations are correct. For that assurance, they engage the services of the internal auditor who looks into this and confirms to the top management, yes, these things are, we assure these things are in place. Advisory services, now advisory is the improvement services. First was the assuring something, second is the improving something. The first improving was not there, it's only assurance, yeah, these things are in place. Now the advisory services, it is definitely as per the agreement between the top management and the internal auditor, what they want from the internal auditor, what kind of advisory they want. And it's very clear that the internal auditor should not assume the responsibility of management. He's just to give the advice to the management and not interfere in the working and tell the staff to improve something or no. He's giving the advice to the top management. The procedure to be used in internal audit will depend what objectives has been given to him. Now, objective can be assess the effectiveness of the program, what needs to be checked, economy and efficiency of some departments of the procedure, risk, internal control valuation, compliance review. It can be compliance review also. We can appoint an internal auditor to see whether I'm complying with all laws, all the financial laws, whether I'm complying with the GST, income tax, and all other related laws. We can cross-check the checking of the compliances. The procedures to be followed by an internal auditor can be mixed. He need to, while doing the audits, to see that the assurance service or advisory service, he has to see on the three elements: examining a data, review, agreed upon procedure. Three things: examining, review, and agreed upon procedure. I'm talking all three in a very lucid manner. Examination means is a routine procedure. Why it is followed while assessing internal controls. It means if the internal auditor is appointed to check the internal control of organization, or maybe internal auditor is appointed to see whether the regulatory compliances are in place or not. That audit is basically a confirmance. He is confirming something. Controls are in place, regulatory compliance is in place. He is confirming something. It means he needs to examine the records and the data. Second is review of the performance. Here, the internal auditor does sufficient testing to express a conclusion whether there is information in his knowledge that the purpose or the subject matter is not based on a conformity within the criteria. This talking reviewing of performance. Third is the agreed upon procedure engagement. It is going to report the finding. He has been given the task to see whether there is some misappropriation is in the expenses on material or any particular assignment is given to him. So he will report the finding, what he found, whether it is there or not. So three things are there. And normally the advisory engagement, where he needs to advise the processes or improvements, is the advisory processes. Internal auditors engaged for advice with us to see that the organization's risk is decreased, so that the organization's the improvement is there in the whatever they are doing. And while doing these assurance services, internal auditor is expected to focus on assessing whether governance, risk management, and control process provide reasonable assurance that all the three things checking: governance, risk management, control, is to assure that significant programs, plans, objectives will be achieved, that financial, managerial, operation information is accurately available, reliable, and it is timely available, that the resources are required economically, that whatever we are purchasing, spending money, and the resources obtained are used effectively. The assets of the organization are safe. that organization is compliant with the guidelines, the procedures, contract with the law regulation, all such. He has to assure these things. In the process of evaluating whether organization is accomplishing its objective, he will gather the information, analyze the information, then report on the event, report on the development, whether the things are adequate, effective elements of control systems are not there, and accordingly he will give the improvement in the program delivery. And further, he will give definitely a reasonable assurance in all his assignments that impropriety is not there. And in case impropriety has come to the notice, he will inform. And thus, to be an effect, to have the efficient internal audit, effective internal audit, it requires the internal audit should be knowledgeable enough, experienced enough, trained enough. And he should be clear in his objective, what he wants to do, and he should be independent in any case. If he's dependent on some other person, no, he should be independent person while doing the things in the office. There's some principles internationally acceptable, the core principles for internal auditing, that effectiveness has to be seen. The principle as a whole articulate internal audit effectiveness. What are principle I'm going to deliberate in the coming slides. And to see that the internal audit is effective, all the principles should be seen. All the principles should be present, whatever I'm going to discuss now. Although from the organization to organization, the objectives may differ, but all principles should be present in all the organization wherever we are going to go for internal audit. Now, what are the objectives which they are? These internationally accepted principles which should be present in all the assignments of internal audit. That the internal audit aligns with the strategy, the objective given to the internal auditor, risk of the organization. The internal audit should show integrity. He should be a person of integrity. It should show or demonstrate the competency of internal auditor, that he has taken the due care in doing his assignment. He should not do mistakes. He himself should not do mistakes. Appropriate care should be taken while doing internal audit. And whatever the opinions is given or the findings is given, it should be free from influence. No influence. Okay. And he's adequately resourced. He has adequately manpower, financial resources are given to him to conduct the audit. He's not forced upon, oh, you take lesser manpower or lesser money to spend while conducting the assignment. No, lesser persons may not have adequately resourced. He's not forced to. His work should not be disturbed. He's adequately resourced. And he should demonstrate the quality of the work and the continuous improvement. He should be able to communicate effectively. He should give a risk-based assurance, and proactive, future-focused approach should be there. It's not a in past that has happened. He has to deliberate on the future situations also, future-focused approach, and he has to finally lead to improvement in the organization. Organization improvement should be the objective. The principles, I'm talking about 5 principles. I will be discussing the core principles only. The number one which I've discussed at random about 10 to 15 assurances. Within those, I'm taking up the 5 important principles just now for discussion. That independence and objectivity, the first important principle. The internal audit activity must be independent. If a person is dependent on some other staff, I'm going to investigate the working of one staff. I should not be forced. Nobody in the senior should force me to do like that. I should be independent. No person should disturb. And the internal auditor must be objective in performing his work. He should be able to do the work in a fair manner. He should have impartial attitude, unbiased attitude, and there should not be conflict of any interest. He should not be investigating a thing where his relative is involved. No conflict of interest. Now, when his independence will be impaired, when I will call that a person is not independent, this may include his personal conflict, like I told, somewhere investigating a relative, something like that, or where his own interest is there, his own supplier self. His scope should not be limited than the required. He should not be told, don't assess this file or that file, don't see that. There should not be restriction on the access of report, and no funding restrictions or the resource limitation should not be there. On the one side, the corporation is giving, the entity is giving, do this investigation, and other side they say, no, we will not give the people to investigate, or will not give the fund to investigate. The sources should be there. Now, what is the meaning of, I talked about the independence. What is the meaning of objectivity? It means the unbiased mental attitude should be there, that he believes in their work product and no quality compromises are made. Objective requires that internal audit don't subordinate their judgment. Even some judgment is there, he cannot say my junior will take the judgment. No, he should not subordinate the judgment on audit matter to others. He has to take a judgment. The second core principle is proficiency and due professional care. The audit engagement, I'm talking of the international level principles only. The audit engagement must be performed with proficiency and due professional care. Proficiency refers to knowledge, skills, other competencies. It's required by internal auditor to carry out effectively his responsibilities assigned to him. It encompasses the consideration of current activities, trend, emerging issues to enable him relevant advice and recommendations. And due professional care can be taken while considering at what extent of work is needed from him, what is the objective of the management from the internal audit, what is the complexity in the matter, whether it is insignificant or the materially important matter where the assurance is required from him, whether the adequacy of governance needs to be checked, risk management, control process needs to be checked, probability of the error in the internal audit of the fraud or the non-compliance, cost of assurance, what are the benefits from internal audit. The use of technology is also very important in this proficiency and due professional care. You should be proficient in the things. And the technology is very, very important to see that the auditor is proficient. You must consider the use of technology, other data analytical techniques. He must be alert to the significant risk that the risk or appearing in the organization that may affect his own work of internal auditors. However, though this is the international level principle that proficiency due professional care, but due professional care doesn't guarantee that all the risk he is able to identify. He has done to the best of his levels. The third important principle acceptable internationally is the use of professional judgment. A professional judgment must be used in planning of the audit, performing of the audit, and advisory to be given, and the finally reporting. The auditor must document is very, very important in all principles in all auditing assignments, maybe it's the internal audit or other audits. Documentation is very, very important. Whatever you have done, what are you going to do, and what are the conclusions, discussions, everything has to be documented. Here in the internal audit, he needs to document the significant decisions that affect his audit objectives for which he was appointed. Decisions where his scope is adjusted or methodology, finding, conclusion, recommendation are affected. Wherever some effect is there on these things, he needs to document all such things. He must demonstrate critical thinking. It's not only I've seen the voucher, this is good, this is bad, this is spending. No. Critical thinking, if the money of 1 lakh has been spent, why? Propriety thing should be there. Critical thinking, whether this work could have been done other than 1 lakh rupees or no. If we are going for some system improvement or the proprietary audit types within the internal audit parameters. Critical thinking is very, very important, going in depth about the transaction. Now, if I see the statutory auditor, which with the other outside auditors, statutory auditor, which prepare the balance sheet profit loss, they see the correctness of the expenditure. Whether 1 lakh was spent, yes, true. Paid through check, cash, done, correct, found correct. No, here it is a critical thinking. Can we get that work done with a lesser amount, or whether this is properly spent? Property effect has to be seen. Now, within these three elements of how we are going for this professional judgment in the case of a governance, than in case of the other parameters of the internal audit. The internal audit activity must assess and make appropriate recommendations to improve the organization's governance or to see that decisions, strategic and operational decisions are there, oversee risk management, governance and control, promote appropriate ethics, ensure effective performance, accountability, communicate risk and control to appropriate areas. This internal audit activity must evaluate the design, implementation, and effectiveness of the ethics-related objectives, programs, and activities of the organization. This internal audit activity must assess whether information technology governance of organizations supports organization strategies and objectives. The second, besides governance, will lead to look into the risk management. We must evaluate the effectiveness and contribute. The internal audit should contribute to the improvement of risk management processes. Need to determine whether risk management processes are effective is a judgment, is his own judgment, is an assessment, and his assessment will be based on that whether organizational objectives support and align with the mission, significant risk identified by him, assessed by him, whether this the risk appetite, appropriate risk appetite is there in the organization, and whether relevant information is captured by him. That activity must evaluate risk exposures, and which should include achievement of the objective, reliability, integrity, effectiveness of operation program, safeguard the asset, compliance with law, which we have already discussed also. We must evaluate the potential for occurrence of a fraud. The internal audit to see that all the loopholes are plugged. Fraud, we should not go and investigate a fraud. That is a separate matter. We are here trying to see that the controls are there. We need to advise how the organization should manage a risk. We need to assess the risk appetite. During the advisory engagement, the internal auditor must address risk consistent with the engagement's objective, and he must be alert to whatever the objectives have been assigned to him. And when assisting the management in improving the risk management policies and processes, the auditor must refrain from assuming any management responsibility. He's not going to fix the process. He's just going to advise the change in the process or how to manage the risk. He should not involve himself in the doing of the amending the things. He has to suggest the corrections. And while assessing the controls, he must see the objectives that the control evaluating of the control to be seen with the objective that this match with the strategic objective of the organization. He must be ensured that reliability and integrity is maintained of the information, and as safeguarding asset, whatever we have discussed earlier, we have to see that in the controls also, compliances of law and safeguarding asset, all things are in place while assessing the control. The last scenario on the 4-stage process. I'm here by just a very simplified process I'm discussing here. Internal audit is a 4-stage process. Not a well-defined, it's just I thought of it putting in a 4-stage process for a convenience. And let us see what is the ease of 4 stages. Now, the first stage in the starting of the internal audit we feel is a research process. Before internal auditor begin, they should gather a broad range of information about the subject area, about the activity to be reviewed. They should gather information first, do their search first. What are the objectives of the internal audit? Note it. What activities have occurred? How these are being performed in organization? How the performance is being measured? What are the present risks? What are the emerging risks for the organization? What are the responses to the risk by the organization? How do the senior management know responses to the risk, whether the risks are effective? That we have to do number one, a research work. The second is the after doing a research of gathering the information about what is happening, he needs to move to the planning stage. The auditor should analyze the information, agree to the scope, agree to the objective of the audit with the seniors in the organization, and then go for the scope of audit, agreed procedures, agreed objectives, criteria to be used. He should obtain resources having the knowledge and skill. The people should be having experiences also. He should set his targets. What should be the output of the audit process? What should be the deadline? What are the time schedules, timetable? Prepare total program detail. This is the planning part. You first get the backend information research, then plan your audit. Third, assure, give the assurance. The internal auditor will tell the concerned how well things are working. Well informed. The internal auditor will inform how well things are working. It will be based on his observation and other information they have collected after doing the audit. The information is gathered through discussion with the organization, employees, interviews with them, observing the system and internal audit tests. Like here, I will tell you, observing the system is very, very important. It's not only we ask for the information. Like in the bank audit, we generally see, I recall one of the document in the banks. There is one statement called that the customer is being served in 3 minutes, in 2 minutes. This type of things are in the writing which the auditors certify that we have the great system. This service is given in 2 minutes, this service is given 3 minutes or so. And when we are sitting and we can see a customer is standing and he is being not attended for 30 minutes or 15 minutes. Now, should I rely on the written statement where the senior is saying that we are giving service in 2 minutes, 3 minutes, or particular service, and we practically see it is not happening? The observations are also very, very important. The internal audit is not only document based. Observations are very, very is excellent. Has a greater role to play in the observations, and we have to go for the other internal audit tests also. We need to analyze and evaluate the information against the criteria set. What are the documents with us, evidence with us, findings with us? We, from all such above information, which I was discussing, the interviews, observation, audit test, obtained information, documents, evidences, we will draw the conclusion, we'll form our own opinion as assigned to us, and then we will communicate the results to the senior management for as a concluding of the assessment, or maybe the improvement point was there, either findings or improvement, whatever the duty was assigned to the internal audit. If the duty was for improvement, we have to give suggestions. The duty was to finding, yes, we will conclude the findings. And finally, the action by the management. Based on the work which the internal audit do, the seniors acknowledge the risks of what they are doing, and they report that, and they agree to the implementations. Every organization is not foolproof. The internal audit process is a continuous process which is supporting the organizations across the world. The internal audit is supporting across the world to improve themselves. Even after improvement, if you feel I'm good, I'm 100% correct, no. It is, there's always a scope of improvement. The internal audit is a continuous process. Improvement is a continuous process. It's not only the manager or the seniors have agreed to the improvement and they do it and they're happy. The internal audit is a continuous thing. Subsequently, also such processes has to be there to see for the further improvement, change in the technology and other parameters. If we change the technology, yes, definitely the further improvement process is required. Now we are seeing in the present scenario, maybe the COVID or otherwise, day in and day, we have seen the online banking is coming more in India. Online banking is going in the rural areas, and so. But we have also seen if the online banking is expanding in India, more fraudsters are also expanding their systems to hack or just do the wrong transaction or misleading the customers by taking transaction. Fraudster also learning now. If the organization has learned to plug some loophole, the fraudsters are also there to create more loopholes. Thus, internal audit is a continuous things for improvement. The changes which were the actions have to be taken on whatever agreed by the senior management on the report, and it's a clear responsibility on the management. Clear targets are set by them for the improvement and ensure that the process is there. Now, what is happening across the world from where I've discussed various rules and the global scenarios of the important elements of the internal audit, from where these elements have come. I didn't tell you from where these elements have come. Now, we have number one organization in the world called as International Auditing and Assurance Standards Board, IAASB. We have the International Accountant Body. The name of the International Accountant Body is International Federation of Accountants. More than 170 countries, 170 bodies, 170 bodies of accountants across the world are members of IFAC, India Federation of Accountants. And that IFAC has this board, Internal Auditing Board. Accordingly, whatever they are preparing, the standards are being spread to the 170 members across the world, 170 institutions across the world. And these institutions are more than 125 countries. Because IFAC has 175 members, institutions which belong to more than 125 countries. So these standards are being prepared by this body, which is the independent standard setter body. It prepares standards and passes on to the other member bodies. Now, the purpose of this International Auditing Standard Board, IAASB, is to establish high quality standards. The auditing standard, auditing means I am vetting a transaction. Assurance standards, assuring something from the organization, the process or activity. Quality control standards, quality of the services by the auditor. Related service standards. These are quality control and services are for the auditors. To improve the uniformity of practice. Now we need to see that the world over the process should be common. The uniformity should be there. It should not happen. India is doing internal audit by X process and UK is doing by Y process. The target of this organization is to see that the process across the world becomes uniform. Target, I'm saying, it may not be uniform, but their efforts are to see the world over the practices become uniform, and more countries are joining this league and adopting these standards in their performances. The uniformity of practice by the professional accountants throughout the world is the target, to see that the uniformity is increased day by day. It will strengthen public confidence. The user of these standards, if I'm doing the audit of a government enterprises, definitely the public money is there. Across the globe, the public confidence will be there, where the public is the user of that auditing. Now, this international IWSB has given various standards. Now, some standards are on quality control. When it is on quality control, it is not the quality of the entity, it is the quality of a person doing the audit. When they need to check my quality, whether I'm doing the audit assignment, review assignment, assurance assignment, for everywhere, for every assignment, this quality control will apply. That I have to give a quality results. It applies to all kind of assurance assignment. I'm assuring everything. By finding out something, is assuring something also. Then we have international framework for assurance engagements. A framework is there which we need to follow. Again, it is applicable to all assurance engagements. Then we have standards on auditing. Now, when it is a standards on auditing, this relate to when I'm doing audit, what I need to see. I've discussed this very important elements already with you. International standards on auditing. This applies to only the audit assignments. Then we have international auditing practice statements. Audit practice, because some of the things can be promulgated by a standard practice, standard thing, but some of the things are learned by practice, or maybe the industry to industry. If we go, we cannot give a standard that this industry audit can be done by this work, and Y industry, X industry's audit can be done by X manner, Y industry can be audit by blue. There can be practices of the industry, not a standard. Practices are the established procedures. So accordingly, these practice statements are also there for supporting everybody. This can be used in the audit. Then we have review engagements. That also we standard on review engagements. We are reviewing some parameters given to us. Then we have international standards on assurance engagements and international standard on related services, and it's applied to all other engagements other than audit and reviews. A large number of pronouncements are there, and these pronouncements, because these finally have to percolate to the 170 bodies, are developed following a due process. While framing this standard or these advisories or this guidance or whatever I shared with you, announcements, this input comes from the general public also. IFAC member bodies, 170 bodies, consultative advisory groups are there, and that body also has representation of the government, from the regulators, from the users of the balance sheet PL and the other preparers of the financial statements. This is a robust framework which becomes at the international level. Now, there is another body at the international level which has a presence in a large number of countries. It is the Institute of Internal Auditors. Now, Institute of Internal Auditor has a presence in a large number of countries, and they also develop and guide the users. There are a large number of members are part of this institute also. In this institute, the practices they give is international professional practice framework they have formulated. It's a basic concept that organizes authoritative guidance promulgated by the institute. They give a guidance only, guidance. The practices guidance, international professional practices framework is there, how to go for internal audit. That guidance is given by them. It provides internal audit professionals worldwide with authoritative guidance, worldwide. Again, a guidance is being given by them, industry to industry or parameter to parameter. Some guidance is mandatory, some is recommendatory. When we'll talk of the control, quality of audit, it will be mandatory. And if we see the type of industry we have to do, how to do work in a particular industry, it will be recommendatory only. Mandatory guidance is developed following the due process, which includes public exposure, stakeholder input. Now, mandatory guidance is in case of professional practice of internal audit. The framework is also there. It is mandatory to be followed by an internal auditor. There are some interpretations also which gives the terms or concepts within the philosophy terms. Terms are also there, and there are some recommended guidance also. And recommended guidance also comes through the due process, which defines the core principles of the for the effective implementation. Principles are there. The definition of internal auditing, what is code of ethics, what are standards, that type of guidance are also available. And this implementation guidance assists the internal auditor to apply the standard to code of conduct. It means all these documents collectively address the internal auditor's approach, methodology, consideration, but that guidance do not give the detailed process how to do all the audit. They are giving the general principles of the things. No detailed process. General principles are available. Supplementary guidance also there. Practice guides are also available. Sector-specific issues are also being addressed. When I told I have to do audit of petroleum industry, very complicated, don't know, please help. These organizations bring such type of guidance industry to industry also. to give us step-by-step approaches also wherever required. Though the general guidance is there, specific guidance comes in selective cases. Now, coming to the India, the last by this I'll conclude. Now, coming from the global scenario to my Indian scenario, we are the Institute of Cost Accountants of India. After the government of India started with the internal audit mandate under Section 138 in the year 2014, under the New Companies Act, we started providing services to the industry on internal audit. And in the year 2009, the Institute of, in the year 2019, our institute, the Institute of Cost Accountants of India, set up internal auditing and assurance standards board. And the first chairman is none other than CMA P. Raju Iyer sir, who addressed just before me. And CMA P. Raju Iyer holding the first year of the board, even the year is about to conclude only, and he has given a robust advisory to the industries across, trying his best in this first year of working itself. There are 3 guidance notes have been issued: risk-based internal auditing. Second, now industry-wise, general guidance note is also there, industry-wise also there. Now 2 industry-wise, cement industry, education sector guidance note have also been released by CMP Raju under the IASB of the Institute of Cost Accountants of India. Now other industries are also in progress. Parallelly, few industries we are working on it, and you will get the that guidance in the coming few months. And also the standards. These are the guidance notes. We also should have a standard. Few standards are also required in India. And though international standards are available, we are following that at present. But to see that the international, this is a mechanism across the world which happens, we see the international standard adapt in a country considering the local situations or local presence. So we will definitely look into the international standard which are already prevalent, which are already there with our global accounting IFAC. We'll examine them in the Indian scenario, and one by one, and slowly things come in the Indian scenario also. With this initial key address with the global perspective, I conclude my address, and I pass on my further discussion to the organizers, and maybe for the question and answer session if it's already scheduled. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Your lecture was wonderful. It threw light on a lot of the global standards which are available. We have consolidated the questions, what we have received from the participants. The first question is based on the internal audit qualifications. As rightly pointed out by you, there are a lot of global qualifications like certified internal auditor, certified information systems auditor, certified internal auditor qualification by the Internal Institute of Auditors, certified environment auditor. Like, what is the steps taken by the Indian universities or the professional bodies to offer such courses for the Indian students and other professionals at affordable cost? Because all the foreign qualifications are with a very high investment. So, what is your view on that?
The internal audit in India, if I first see the mandatory part is being governed by Section 138 of the Companies Act. According to that, a chartered accountant or a cost accountant, both professionals are allowed to be appointed as a internal auditor. And the third sentence used is any other professional may be appointed. And the government has not defined who is any other professional. And according to my opinion, whatever the other qualification you have formulated may be appointed by the company, because the appointment is by the company for the purpose of audit. And as regards the qualification in the university, the robust courses have not started as yet as in the student syllabus also, though I think some chapters, maybe in the smaller initial chapters are also there. In the down the line, the universities and institutions have to have a more approach, more syllabus or detailed approach in the internal audit, considering the mandate by the government of India or the increased focus on the internal audit. In any case, it is safer for the organization to have internal audit. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. The second question is with regard to the reporting procedures. Is internal audit reporting or findings, is it shared with the stakeholders? Normally, the external audit report is being published in the website, or it is shared with the stakeholders. Is it the same with the internal auditing report also? If not shared, can it be made open to the stakeholders to have more transparency and integrity on the operations of the entity?
So the statutory audit report, which we call is our auditor report for the signing of a balance sheet or a profit loss and other statutory. Those are public document, which the government makes it mandatory for a public domain. This is internal audit is for internal consumption of the management. They may point, may not point, but yes, in under Company Act for some entities it is mandatory. It is mandatory under for some companies, and accordingly, it is not that the government wants a report from those persons or those entities who are conducting audit under the mandatory section 138. It's only basically making them aware or forcing them to use the services because it will be beneficial to the institute. In any case, internal audit is for the improvement of the organization's working. Since it is the internal improvement of the organization, those not in mandatory may point, may not point. So when the thing is not mandatory, it's for internal improvement, how the company works or how the internal procedures. That thing should not be a public document. That should not be. It is internal procedural things.
Yeah, thank you, sir. The third question is on the qualitative parameters. There are very emerging areas such as the POSCO and other Women Protection Act or the Gender Sensitization Act, which are being made applicable to all entities apart from our accounting and finance transactions. Is the internal auditor liable to have a check on all the other legal parameters which are not related to your accounting domain or finance domain? This is one of the faculty raised from Malaysia.
Yes, it is. The internal audit is based on the subject or the objective given by the management. If management wants to examine the process, like you told about the work culture or the about the human harassment, some other work culture. If the management wants that the internal auditor should examine the prevalent systems and improve those systems, yes, internal audit is in domain, but not otherwise. It is only if the assignment has to specify the objective, and this objective can be specified in the assignment.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. We have come to the end of the question and answer session. Over to Revati, ma'am.
Yes, sir. I kindly request CMA Ravi Shankar to propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It is a pleasant morning. We have begun our day with a lot of enrichment on the internal audit. We have got another 6 more days to go on various sectors. So it is a wonderful initiative taken by the Manonmaniam Sundaranar University and the Internal Auditing and Assurance Standards Board of the Institute of Cost Accountants of India. My sincere thanks to the Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. K. Pichumani, Manonmaniam Sundaranar University, and the Registrar, Dr. A. Santosh Babu, a very good friend of us, and Dr. B. Revati, who is instrumental in executing this program. They have been working for the last 10 days to bring this program into a reality. And I need to mention my special thanks to CMA Balvinder Singh, our revered president, for accepting our invitation at a very shorter span of time, in spite of his busy schedule. Today, there are some more other webinars designed at the same time by our institute. He has made it for us. He has come for us, and he has presented for another for almost 45 to 50 minutes the wonderful subject in a very global area. Sir, our hearty thanks to you, sir. And then, needless to mention, CMAPA Raju Iyer, who is always at our support to and encourages such programs. Sir, many sincere thanks. Our thanks to all the resource persons who are going to present their expertise in the next 6 days. And at last, I'll be failing in my duty if I don't thank all the participants in spite of this COVID-19 situation. Everyone is, with strong motivation. They are participating from home and they are raising questions to us. Thank you so much for all the participants. The feedback link is shared in the chat box. It will be open in another 5 minutes. You can share your feedbacks. The certificate of participation will be mailed from the university within a week. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Good day, President. Good day, all the participants. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll meet tomorrow by 11 a.m. tomorrow.
Thank you all. We'll meet tomorrow for the internal audit, the emerging dimensions, excellence and domain area tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Please post the feedback link. Participants are waiting for the feedback link.
The link is already posted, ma'am. The feedback link is already posted. It is also released. The participants can fill their feedbacks.
Have you posted it in the chat box?
Yes, it has been posted now. Feedback link has been posted.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, participants can look into the feedback link in the chat box.
No, it's not visible, sir. It's not posted.
It's
Kindly
visible,
post it again. Kindly post
yeah,
it
I posted
again,
it.
sir.
I posted it again.
No, sir, it's not visible, sir. No, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It is visible in my screen. Yeah, it's available in my screen here.
But
I'm
participants are
able to see
giving
it.
participants are giving no. It's not posted.
Yes, just
Because
now I posted it.
no, sir,
Yeah,
it's not visible.
yeah. Better. I'll do one thing. I will just share it in my screen also now. Ma'am, I think you can just go to the YouTube and you can also post it. Maybe you are the host. I think it is not allowing me to post.
You have been allowed inside, sir.
Yeah.
One second,
I
please.
posted
One
many
second,
times.
please, sir. Okay. Participants, the feedback link is posted in the chat box. You kindly fill the feedback link. Even if it is not posted in the chat box, you need not worry, because I have mailed you the link for all the 7 days. In that PDF file, you have the feedback link of the respective day. You need not worry about the feedback link, because in the PDF file which I have sent you along with the link, we have the PDF, we have the feedback link of the respective day. You need not worry about the
We have
feedback
shared
link.
the feedback link. We have shared the feedback link for all the 7 days in the document what we have sent already. So
That is
every day
what.
the feedback link will be opened at 12:15 p.m. It will be open for 45 minutes. We'll be closing the feedback link by 1 o'clock every day. We'll meet you tomorrow. Thank you so much.